Okay. I was starting with program outcomes for BS accountancy. So we have now the graduates of BS accountancy as should be able to resolve business issues and problems with a global and strategic perspective using their knowledge and technical proficiency in the areas of financial accounting and reporting, cost accounting and management, management accounting and control, taxation or accounting information systems. B, conduct accountancy research through independent studies of relevant literature and appropriate use of accounting theory and methodologies. Now again, for A and B, you have subjects related to this specialized fields. And C, employ technology as a business tool in capturing financial and non-financial information, generating reports, and making decisions. D, apply knowledge and skills that will successfully respond to various types of assessments, including professional licensure and certifications. And E, confidently maintain a commitment to good corporate citizenship, social responsibility, and ethical practice in performing functions as an accountant. Now, again, in for letter E, you have subjects that will really focus on like corporate governance, and you have your ethics. Now, for here, we have students are encouraged to take advantage of instructors' consultation hours to help with coursework or anything else connected with the course and their progress. Now, usually, we faculty members have consultation hours or time for the students, or you may just refer to our Facebook accounts for whatever consultation matters, or cell phone. And of course, we have our email addresses. Now, for the program outcomes related to the course and relationships to program educational objectives. So we have the ones stated above as they relate to the program educational outcomes. So letter A up to letter E. Now, for there are some that actually are not directly related to, so we do not check. So we have now for the course information. Our subject is titled Cost Accounting and Control and Strategic Cost Management. So this subject already includes some topics in management accounting. For the course description, this is designed to orient the students to cost accounting and control framework of business, which will help them understand the factors and aspects necessary to come up with an effective cost system. It emphasizes particularly dwells on the manufacturing concern and highlights the elements and features applicable to the non-manufacturing concerns. It explores on the details of the key component of manufacturing from one department to the next, specifically materials, labor, and overhead, and transcends into the understanding of the flow of cost during the work in process stage until the completion of goods. It exposes the students to different types of cost accumulation procedures such as job order costing, backflash costing, ABC costing, and process costing. So this will be focused the four types of costing. And in determining the unit manufacturing cost of a product, uh, now of accounting, no? So for the costing techniques and procedures for companies that use standard cost as benchmark for costing the products, students will be exposed to the preparation of job cost sheets, cost of production reports, cost of goods sold of the inventories to be reported in the income statement and balance sheet, and in the production of the necessary deliverables and reports pertinent to the cost system, and assemble financial statements prepared under the standard costing procedures. Now, actually, our subject covers cost accounting and at the same time management accounting part of it. Now, considering that your background in accounting was only your first accounting subject, very basic, and probably if you had accounting in your senior high school, but your cost accounting is already higher, no? It's involving so many topics in the discussions of cost accounting and control and strategic cost accounting. It will enhance the analyzing and problem-solving skills of students while teaching them the requisites of assessing the role of cost accounting as an indispensable tool for management in planning and control for decision making. Topics include introduction to strategic cost management, absorption and variable costing, cost, volume, and profit analysis, budgeting for planning and control, responsibility accounting, performance evaluation, transfer pricing, and profitability analysis. It also discusses impact on environmental concerns on cost and ethical considerations in costing. Now, you will notice that there are several topics included in our course description, and that we are going to focus on a manufacturing-oriented type of business. So take note that the subject is with so many topics included. Now, for the prerequisite, you had Accounting 1101 for 6 units. And this time, our Accounting 1206 is also for 6 units. So our class schedule now is actually, since we will be using first and second terms, so that's why instead of 2 hours, now we are reducing that time to only 1.5 hours, 8:30 to 10, 10 to 11:30, and you are in 7 to 8:30. Okay, now for the instructor, Ma'am Monsole was previously teaching accounting 1206, but now we have several instructors teaching, which I think also includes Ma'am Monsole, Ma'am Sarumines, and myself, no? And some part-timers. So take note that we have now the consultation time for, in my case, now you can have 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 to 2 o'clock. Or as I have mentioned, you can refer to my Facebook account or my cell phone number. I will give you the cell phone number so you can text me whatever concerns. Now, let's start with the course outcomes, and it's the relationship of the course outcomes to program outcomes. Now, after completing the course, the student must be able to, course outcome number 1, discuss the mission, vision, and core values of CPU and requirements of the course, as this relates to the program outcomes. Now, number 2, discuss the nature, concepts, importance of cost and cost accounting and how it relates to financial and management accounting. Course outcome number 3, internalize the code of professional ethics and exhibit the character of a socially responsible individual. Discuss the different components of manufacturing cost and prepare journal entries for the transactions in a manufacturing firm. Prepare statement of cost of goods manufactured and sold. Determine the balances of raw materials, work in process, and finished goods for presentation on the financial statements. 7, differentiate job order costing from process costing, and record transactions are related to manufacturing cycle by using job order costing. Now, it's a system. 8, accumulate cost in the job cost sheet and compute for the balances of the raw materials, work in process, and finished goods under job order costing. 9, discuss the concept elements of just-in-time system and differentiate it from the traditional system. Next, 10, record transactions using the JIT process and backflash accounting. 11, determine the balances of raw materials, work in process, finished goods, and cost of goods sold under the JIT system. 12, distinguish periodic from perpetual cost accumulation systems. 13, evaluate the internal control system on the recording and processing of inventory in a manufacturing company. 14, discuss the various methods and techniques in materials planning and control. 15, discuss the nature, concepts, and internal control measures applicable to labor cost accounting. 16, prepare payroll and record entries. 17, discuss the nature, types of factory overhead and compute for the balances and rates of factory overhead on a plant-wide or departmentalized basis. 18, discuss activity-based costing. 19, discuss standard costing of inventories and variances and determine the variances including material, labor, and manufacturing overhead variances and the rates and the balances of inventories. 20, discuss process costing and prepare for journal entries and cost of production reports. 21, discuss the concepts and different allocation methods of joint costs. 22, prepare different kinds of budgets. 23, discuss cost volume profit analysis and compute for the break-even analysis. 24, prepare income statements using variable costing and absorption costing for reporting and management decision making. 25, discuss the concept, nature, and importance of responsibility accounting, the various responsibility centers and related performance evaluation and rewards. 26, discuss the nature and importance of activity resource usage model, make evaluation and appropriate tactical decisions. 27, discuss strategic cost management and be able to make appropriate decisions given a business situation to have a competitive advantage. 28, discuss the basic concepts of the balance sheet or the balance scorecard with its four perspective and use them in appropriate situations. 29, internalize the CPU core values such as Christian faith, commitment, cooperation, confidence, honesty, respect, and responsible stewardship in his or her life. 30, integrate the value of honesty, fairness, mutual interest, and concern for others and good corporate governance in every business or personal decisions to be made. Now, we have, those are the course outcomes. So 1 to 30. The last is integrate the value of honesty, fairness, mutual interest, and concern for others. Now, this is a very, very important course outcome, especially for accountancy students. So you will notice that we have a lot of topics to discuss. And when you go out or when you pass the subject and get a grade that will allow you to qualify for BS accountancy program before you can proceed to the second year. Now you have a required grade for all your accounting and related subjects, and you will have to sit down for a qualifying exam during the summer period. So in other words, for BS accountancy students, now it's not only passing the subject, but it's receiving a grade that will allow you to join the program after the qualifying test. So in other words, aside from the grade, you have to sit down for the qualifying exam. Now let's begin with week number 1, good for 2 hours. Week number 1, 2 hours, discuss the mission, vision, and core values of CPU and the requirements of the course. We have already discussed the mission and the vision, and we have now the core values as indicated in the previous discussions. Then we have the rules and the regulations and the basic requirements of the course, which we have to discuss here. Then for week 1, that will require another 4 hours. So maybe this week, discuss the nature, concepts, importance of cost and cost accounting and how it relates to financial and management accounting. So we have now the book. Your book will have two books. And the first one that we are going to use is the book of Van der Beek. Okay, I hope you are now trying to follow the book Van der Beek, Edward, and Michel Maria. That's the book Principles of Cost Accounting. Now that's the book. You can buy this from Cengage. Now the latest edition. I understand that Cengage. Anyway, you can inquire online, like Shopee. If Shopee sells the book of Van der Beek Edward, or you can search, no, and find out the contact number of Cengage. Okay, so that's now for our basic text and for our course outcomes. And of course, we are now focusing on course outcome number 1, number 2, and number 3, internalize the code of professional ethics and exhibit the character of a socially responsible individual. Okay, so for our other references, now you may have the book of De Leon, Guillermo, Norma, no? De Leon, Norma, for cost accounting. Now you can have this for your references. The book of Horngreen. Okay, cost accounting. Now these are for your references. Of course, we have the remaining course outcomes as we are going to discuss through the weeks, the remaining weeks. So for the meantime, we are going to focus on course outcomes numbers 1 and 2. But first of all, I'm going to proceed to the basic requirements of the course. So the basic requirements of the course, which will include your, okay, so we have now the books here. We have the books, no, to be used as here, references. For our textbooks, we will have two. In the first part, which hopefully we are going to use during the first term, we have the book of Van der Beek, as stated. The principles of cost accounting with Cengage as the seller. So we have now the second book, which will be used during the second term, depending, no, if we can finish earlier or if not. But anyway, just be ready with the book. The second book is titled Strategic Cost Management. Again, with C&E Publishing. The book is authored by Hansen and Mowen. Hansen and Mowen. The book is Strategic Cost Management. Then we have now for the references. We have the book of De Leon, Guillermo, and De Leon, Norma. Then we have the book of Hilton and Platt, Horngreen, the book of Lannen, Anderson, and we have now the book of Rayborn. All of these are cost accounting books. Rayborn and Guinea and Carter. Then we have the book of Reeve, J. Warren, and we have Duchak. And that's the principles of managerial accounting. Okay. Now, the rest, I'm going to discuss the remaining topics here, which includes your grading system, no? So we have the grading system here for the components here. So for the grading system, we have the prelim exam, the midterm, final exam, and the quizzes and other requirements. Now, in our case, since we have two terms, the first term and the second term, now for the first term, we will have quizzes, other requirements like seat work, assignments, board work. I may give exercises or short quizzes. Then we will have two midterm exams. Two midterm exams. Midterm exam 1 and midterm exam 2 for our first term. And we will have the final exams for the second term. Now, please take note of the revised components. The revised components in our case. We will have for the first term, we will have midterm 1 and midterm 2. Midterm 1 and midterm 2. That will be given 25%. So in other words, class, you have to refer to the revised components in the grading system. Now, these ones are applicable for the face-to-face classes. But for our online classes, for the first subterm, subong, that may be good for 2 months, then we will have midterm exam 1 and midterm exam 2. The 2 midterm exams will be given 25%. So midterm exam 1 and midterm exam 2, which will be given or assigned 25% sa first subterm. Then I will be giving 2 long quizzes. 2 long quizzes for subterm 1. The 2 long quizzes will be assigned 12.5%. 12.5%. So bali, ang kada long quiz daw 6 and 1/4%. So during subterm 1, I will be giving 2 long quizzes that will be assigned 12.5%, because the other 12.5 will be given during the second subterm. So bali sa subterm 1, we will have 2 midterm exams that will be assigned 25%. In other words, every midterm exam will be assigned 12.5%. So midterm 1 and midterm 2. Then 2 long quizzes. Now, that will be given 12.5% for the 2 long quizzes. Then also during midterm, during subterm 1, I will be giving, for the other requirements, I used to give short quizzes or exercises. So short quizzes or exercises for the first subterm. So I will just announce what are the short quizzes and what will be the coverage or the exercises. Okay? Sometimes I used to assign students to report, no, on some topics. So report on some topics, and that will be given 15% for the two subterms. So during the first subterm, that will be assigned 7.5. So in other words, during the first subterm midterm exam, 25%, then quizzes, 12.5. Then you may be given short quizzes as part of the other requirements or reports for the first subterm. Now, for the second subterm, we will have the final exams. Second subterm, we will have final exam 1 and final exam 2. That will be assigned 35%. So final exam 1 and final exam 2, that will be assigned 35%. Then for the long quizzes, again, I will be giving another two long quizzes that will be given 12.5% also. And for other requirements, which I may continue with exercises or reporting, whatever it is that I'm going to announce. So in other words, since we are now dividing the classes into two subterms because we have a 6-unit course, we refer to the first subterm and the second subterm. The first subterm, I will be giving two midterm exams, which will be assigned 25%. Then two long quizzes that will be assigned 12.5%. And for other requirements, including exercises, short quizzes, or reports for the first subterm. For the second subterm, we will have two final exams. So final exam 1, final exam 2, that will be assigned 35%. And another two long quizzes, again for 12.5%. And we have other requirements. Okay? Now again, let me remind you that for our passing mark, accountancy students, you are supposed to get 60%. Now, 60%. We compute for the general weighted average by adding your averages for the midterm, the finals, the long quizzes, and other requirements. So, bali ang mga midterm for the two subterms will be assigned 25%, final examinations 35%, long quizzes 25%, and for other requirements 15%. And we will give the grade after the second subterm. Now, again, we compute for the general weighted average by adding your grades or your percentages for the midterm, the final exam, the long quizzes, and the other requirements. And we compute for a transmuted value. The transmuted value is computed by dividing the general weighted average minus the passing mark. For example, your general weighted average after adding the components is 90. And we deduct the passing mark of 60. So you get 30, and divide that by 100 minus 60. So in other words, we have 30 for the numerator in my example and divide it by 40 and multiply by 25 and add 75. So the transmuted value, which will be rounded off to the nearest whole number, that will be your transmuted value. And based on the transmuted value, we now have the numerical grade. So if your transmuted value is 98, your numerical grade is 1.0. If your transmuted value is 83, that will give you only 2.25. 2.25. So, depende, no? And students with incomplete grade and no other subjects enrolled must enroll for academic residency. Now, this would refer to the graduating students until she completes the requirement, but not to exceed 1 year. Otherwise, the student must